Welcome back to Golf Weekly. I'm here with PGA professional Pete Popovich of the Golf Performance Academy here on Hilton Head. Pete,
Dave.
We know that a lot of people go ahead and have very sedentary lifestyles. They don't go ahead and move around very much. They're at the desk all day, but they want to go ahead and play golf. You've brought with you some of the toys we can go ahead and show them today. Some exercises they can do to go ahead and break out of their routine and get their bodies in a little better shape. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you've got here?
Yeah, you know, given your viewers in the Hilton Head area, we have a lot of people who are retired, and we've got a lot of people who are still working, but all in all, they all like to get out and play golf. But given the fact that most of them spend a majority of their time either at a desk or they're driving in a very sedentary position, don't need a lot of movement, I thought we'd just go over a couple different exercises that can help break up the muscle stiffness and things that will help them in their golf game.
Now, one of the things we want to go ahead and caution our viewers on, we realize some of you have probably had some replacement surgery, either hips or knees, so we want you to either check with your doctor or be very careful before you start to do some of these, because as you'll see here, Pete's going to put himself in a few positions that are going to have to do with stretching out the hips and the knees, and we just want to make sure you're good to go when you do them. So Pete, why don't you go ahead and start out and show us what you're going to do first?
Sure. The first thing we want to get into is people start to sit at a desk a lot and they're at the computer, they start to get rounded shoulders, their head starts to lean forward as they're typing away. Or if you're driving a car, your hands are on the steering wheel, you really start to get leaned forward in your thoracic cavity and or your upper back. So this stretch here is really going to help you loosen that up, and it's real simple. What we have here, just a foam roller you can get at any local grocery store, and we've got a dowel rod you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's or any hardware store. So what you want to do is just set that on the ground, and you get yourself perpendicular to that. You want to place it about right under your shoulder blades. Next thing you want to do is you want to make sure your pelvis is tucked forward so that your lower back is on the ground. And then all you do is raise your hands over your head, take a deep breath in, and exhale and lean backwards over the foam roller.
And how long do we want to go ahead and hold that for?
You want to hold that for about a minute. And as you start to feel yourself relax and the roller is pushing up against your back, after about a minute, you slide the roller down about 1 inch or 2 inches to the next vertebrae. Make sure you have your pelvic tilt. Inhale and exhale again.
And as you exhale is when we go ahead and kind of back ourselves down.
Right. That's when we let yourself go and muscles relax.
And holding that for a minute is going to go ahead and certainly be beneficial to going ahead and loosening up the upper part of our spine, or what we call our T-spine, which is going to give us mobility when we turn for our golf swing.
And so you do that 5 different segments that should cover your T-spine, open up your upper back, which, Dave, as you know, allows you to have a better turn and rotation in your golf swing.
Absolutely. Now, what do we have? We have the big ball here, the Swiss ball behind you there. So what are we going to go ahead and use that for?
Yep. Second thing is, again, if somebody's sitting a lot or they're driving or at a computer, what have you, the hip flexors tend to get really tight, so you want to try to loosen those up and break those up. You have the hip flexibility in your swing. This is real easy. Just put top of your foot on the ball, just like you're kneeling down, and stand up nice and tall. Now, the one thing you want to make sure you do is it's not going to be very hard or very effective if you let your rear end stick back and then you try to stand up. What you want to make sure you do is you squeeze your glute and you push your hips forward so you get a nice pelvic tilt.
And for those of you that aren't sure what the glute is, that's your butt cheek. That's your butt cheek right there. We want to make sure we're squeezing that a little bit, and that's going to go ahead and activate it, because in the golf swing, the kings and queens of your muscle group are your abs and your glutes. And if we don't have those good and solid, you're going to have a hard time maintaining your balance in your core when you go ahead and swing.
That's right. Now, most people would think this would be pretty easy, but if you do that squeeze your glute and your hip goes forward, most people are going to be 6 inches to about a foot away from getting their heel to their rear end. What you want to shoot for is to eventually get to where this area is loose enough to where you can touch your rear end to your heel.
And once again, the reason this is loosening this area up right here is, like Pete said before, you know, a lot of times we're sitting at the desk all day, we're like this, and our hip flexors, we get very tight in this region, and we really need to be able to stretch ourselves out here so we have good mobility as we move through the golf ball.
Yeah, you know, the reason I like those two a lot is if somebody doesn't have the flexibility from their knee into their hip, as they try to make their backswing, if that area is tight, all it's going to do is going to move their whole body. If
they're not going to be able to wind up properly.
That's right. You can't coil. You can't wind up that whole body. If you have some flexibility in there, you can have the separation between your knee and your hip. You can get a lot more efficient coil. Hit the ball.
Get more power. That's
what
we want. We're looking for more power and hit it longer, right?
Yep.
Okay, you wanted to show us a 90-90 stretch there.
Yeah, let me show you the 90-90
Let's go ahead and
stretch,
show us that one, because that one's really kind of juicy. And this is for you that have, for those of you that have had hip and knee replacement surgery, this is one of the ones I think you want to be a little careful of.
You want to be a little careful with this. Ask your orthopedic or surgeon. So what you do is you get down on the mat. Your front leg is at 90 degrees here. Your rear leg is at 90 degrees. Kind of engage your core a little bit, and all you want to do is take a deep breath and just fall forward.
And once again, we're going to hold this for...
Hold it for 1 minute to 2 minutes. You know,
1 to 2 minutes you want to hold this, so you can actually multitask. You can watch WHHI-TV and do your stretches at the same time.
That's right. In fact, watching TV while you do this is great because it keeps, after you just loosened up your thoracic cavity, you can keep your chest up.
There you go.
And watch TV at the same time, so it's probably a good idea to watch TV while you do this.
Terrific. Give you something else to do. That's what I call multitasking.
Multitasking.
In my world,
yep.
anyway.
So once you open those things up, then we kind of have a couple exercises to cement those things in place. If you start getting into lifting weights but you're not stretching or have the range of motion, you're really going to just cement bad posture. So once we can open the thoracic up, we can open up the hips, then we can do a couple other things. If I can just see that real quick. The one exercise I like, because when the hip flexors get really tight, what happens is the hamstrings get pretty loose. So now that you stretched out the front to loosen that, you have to strengthen the hamstrings to counteract. So one exercise I like is a deadlift, a Romanian deadlift. All you got to do, you have a bar with weights on it, you hold it. You're going to bend over from the waist, little bend in the knees just to where it's below your knee line, and then all you're going to do is inhale and lift up. I'm sorry, exhale and lift up. So it's bend over, engage the core, exhale, and come up. So that's the Romanian deadlift. That'll get those hamstrings a lot stronger, allow your posture, your pelvis.
And when we do that, we definitely want to have just a little bend in the knees.
Little bend in the knees.
Just a little bend in the knees. We don't want them locked.
Correct. It's a multi-joint motion where your knees are bending and your hips are bending simultaneously.
Well, Pete, that's great. Those exercises are certainly some that I'm sure all of our golfers can go ahead and benefit from. Thank you so much for being with us, and we look forward to having you again. When we come back in segment 3, we're going to be joined by Gary Snyder, the former superintendent at the Harbortown Golf Links. Stick around.